Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that helps you get smart on complex topics fast by digging into the key sources.
And today, we're tackling something really fundamental.
Yeah, we're asking, what is power, really? How does it work? How is it projected? And maybe, just maybe, is our whole understanding of it a bit, well, outdated for the digital age we live in?
It's a huge question, right?
Yeah.
Because how we think about power, how we use it, that shapes, well, everything. Our safety, how nations interact.
Definitely. And the sources we've dug into, they suggest we might be missing something huge, something happening kind of under the surface.
That's the core of it. We're focusing today on this really quite provocative MIT thesis by Jason P. Lowery. It's called Softwar, a novel theory on power projection and the national strategic significance of Bitcoin.
Okay, now hold on. If you just heard Bitcoin and thought, oh, great, another crypto thing, please stick with us. This is different.
Yeah.
It goes way beyond just money.
It really does. Lowery's approach is pretty unique. He uses what's called grounded theory.
Grounded theory, what does that mean exactly?
Well, basically, instead of starting with a theory and trying to prove it, he gathers data first. Yeah. From all over the place: military strategy, biology, psych, political science, computer science, you name it.
Wow, okay.
And then he lets the theory sort of emerge from the connections between all that data. It's like piecing together a puzzle without knowing the picture on the box, you know?
Right, letting the evidence lead. So what's our mission for you, the listener, today?
It's to unpack Lowery's, frankly, pretty startling argument. He's suggesting Bitcoin isn't primarily about finance.
Okay, then what is it?
He argues it's actually potentially a vital national security tool, a new kind of cyber warfare, maybe even a fix for some deep-seated problems in how we've managed power for, well, millennia.
That's a massive claim. Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start to get our heads around this?
We have to go right back to the beginning.
Yeah?
To nature, what Lowery calls primordial economics.
Primordial economics, like caveman level stuff.
Even more basic. Think about any living thing, a bacterium, a plant, an animal. Survival isn't just finding food. It's about not being food.
Right, not being an easy target.
Exactly. Lowery uses this concept, the benefit-to-cost ratio of attack, the BCRA.
Okay, benefit-to-cost ratio of attack, BCRA.
Yeah, if the benefit of attacking you, like the resources you have, is higher than the cost the attacker expects to pay, your BCRA is high. And that's bad news for you.
So you want a low BCRA.
Precisely.
Oh.
Organisms are constantly trying to lower it. You could maybe have fewer resources, but it's not great for thriving.
Not ideal, no.
So the better strategy is to increase the cost you can inflict on an attacker. Make it really painful, really expensive for them to mess with you.
Okay. Fight back harder, develop defenses.
Exactly. And this leads to what he calls the innovate or die principle. Life is always evolving better ways to project physical power just to survive in what he calls a congested, contested, competitive, and hostile environment. A CCCH environment.
CCCH, catchy. So it's an arms race, basically, from day one.
Kind of, yeah. And think about cooperation, too. That's also a power projection tactic.
How so?
Well, if individuals band together, they can sum up their individual cost of attack, their CA. Their combined defense is much stronger than anyone alone.
Ah, safety in numbers, strength in unity.
Right. And that drive, that evolutionary pressure, is what eventually leads to bigger groups, tribes, eventually nation-states, all trying to boost their collective security.
Okay, that makes sense from a biological evolutionary standpoint. How does this translate to human society where things get, well, more complicated?
Right. This is where Lowery makes a really critical distinction between physical power, which he calls real power, or even just watts and abstract power, which he calls imaginary power or rank.
Okay, physical versus abstract, real versus imaginary, watts versus rank. This feels central. Can you break that down?
Yeah, he uses great examples. Think about physical power, like an A-10 Warthog jet, fully loaded. He mentions Captain Elizabeth Eastman flying one.
Okay, yeah, very real, very physical.
Its power is self-evident. Right? You don't need to believe in the A-10 for it to, well, do its job. It exists outside belief systems. It's exogenous.
Got it. Independent of opinion.
And it's physically constrained by thermodynamics.
Yeah.
You can't just wish more firepower into existence. It takes real energy, real resources. It's thermodynamically restricted.
And once it's used?
It's irreversible, path-dependent, he calls it. It leaves a mark, a blood trail. Accountability, and importantly, it's potentially egalitarian. Anyone could theoretically build or acquire such power.
Okay, so that's physical power. Tangible, constrained, real consequences. What about abstract power? The imaginary kind.
Contrast the A10 with, say, Chief Justice Anthony Dudley in court. His power to sentence someone, to interpret law, isn't self-evident like the Jet's.
Right, it depends on people accepting his authority, the legal
Oh,
system.
exactly. It's endogenous to a belief system. It only works because people believe in it. It needs that belief. It's sympathetic.
And it's not bound by physics in the same way.
Not at all. It's physically unconstrainable. You can create laws, titles, authority seemingly out of thin air. Thermodynamically unsound, as Lowery puts it.
Can be reversed too, right? Appeals, new laws.
Yes, path-independent, reversible, often non-inclusive, definitely not egalitarian, and bounded by the rules of its own system. And who's truly responsible when a bad law causes harm? It's often unattributable. No clear blood trail.
Wow, okay, that's a stark contrast. Physical power is real watts, abstract power is belief-based rank. So how do these two connect in society? Because abstract power clearly does have real effect.
Ah, that's the crucial link. Enforcement. Physical power is what ultimately backs up abstract power.
Like the police enforcing the judge's sentence.
Exactly. Or historically, think of a king. His authority is abstract, just an idea. But his knights, with their swords and armor, that's physical power, when they ride out and enforce his decrees, that's what makes the king's abstract power feel real.
It's like a proof of power signal.
Precisely. Lowery calls it a proof of real effect. He uses this funny analogy, the poking-pinching protocol. If you're not sure if something's real, what do?
You poke it or pinch yourself.
Right. The physical enforcement is the poke that makes the abstract authority feel solid, undeniable to everyone else.
Okay, but this reliance on belief, on enforcement, that sounds like it has weaknesses.
Huge weaknesses. That's Lowery's point. Abstract power hierarchies are built on trust and permission. They are inherently systemically insecure.
Insecure how?
Vulnerable from the inside, corrupt leaders,
Yeah.
officials misusing their rank, and vulnerable from the outside invaders who just don't buy into your belief system, who don't respect your laws or borders.
And history backs this up.
Absolutely. Lowery points to, like, 5,000 years of written history, story after story of abstract systems collapsing or being exploited because the physical power backing them weakened. And this is interesting, because the population became self-domesticated.
Self-domesticated, meaning what?
Unwilling or unable to project physical power themselves to defend their own abstract system. They relied too much on the rulers, lost the ability to enforce things themselves.
Okay, so abstract power is fragile. Then something changed dramatically in the 20th century, right? With nuclear weapons.
Yeah, Lowery calls it the kinetic ceiling. Suddenly, with nukes and mutually assured destruction, MAD, large-scale physical warfare between major powers became, well, almost suicidal. Too efficient, too destructive to be practical.
A stalemate. The ultimate weapon became almost unusable.
Exactly. And Lowery argues this created a really dangerous situation. He calls it a god-king's paradise.
Whoa, what does he mean by that?
He means ruling elites could potentially exploit their populations with much less fear of physical consequences from those populations. Why? Because any large-scale uprising, especially involving peer nations, risks global annihilation. The ultimate physical check was sort of off the table.
So the kinetic ceiling, ironically, made abstract power more prone to internal abuse because the ultimate physical pushback was too dangerous.
That seems to be the argument. It's a paradox. Abstract power is shaky, needs physical backing, but the ultimate physical power is too dangerous to use fully. A strategic dead end, almost.
Okay, so if kinetic power projection hit a ceiling, where does power projection go next? This must be where cyberspace comes in.
Precisely. Cyberspace emerges. A whole new domain, like land, sea, air, space. But instead of moving tanks or ships, we're moving vital bits of information.
Digital information.
But here's the problem, Lowery flags. We built the internet and our software systems using the same old models. We just recreated abstract power hierarchies online.
How so?
Think about system administrators. Admin rights. Lowery cheekily calls them God rights. They have immense, basically unchecked abstract power over digital systems and users' data.
Right, they can delete accounts, change settings, access anything.
And because there are no physical constraints in typical software, these digital abstract power structures are just as vulnerable as the old ones, maybe even more so.
Which leads to, well, everything we see online. Hacking, misinformation, data theft, censorship.
Exactly. It's the same pattern of exploitation. Lowery's point is that logical constraints, lines of code, terms of service, even laws, they aren't enough to stop logic from being exploited. They just change how it's exploited.
You can't use logic to truly constrain logic, so we need something else, something physical, in cyberspace.
That's the leap. That's where Lowery introduces Bitcoin as Softwar, he asks. What if we could create a protocol that imposes real-world physical costs on actions within cyberspace?
Physical costs online. How?
Through Bitcoin's proof of work, POW. He argues POW isn't just about making coins. It functions as a proof of power protocol.
Proof of power, like the knights enforcing the king's rule.
Kind of, yeah. To participate in Bitcoin, to change the ledger, you have to expend real-world energy. You have to burn watts through computational effort, through hashing.
Okay.
This imposes physical costs on anyone trying to cheat the system, trying to double spend, trying to rewrite history. It makes attacks physically expensive. It's a non-lethal way to impose cost and achieve security.
So proof of work links digital action to real-world energy expenditure, to physics.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really wild. Lowery describes Bitcoin as transforming the entire global electric grid.
The power grid.
Yeah, into a kind of planetary-scale state-changing mechanism. Or think of it as a giant, decentralized, planetary-scale computer.
A computer made of the world's electricity grids.
Effectively, yes. It acts like a global motherboard, creating a unique space within cyberspace that is physically constrained, thermodynamically restricted. It's fundamentally different infrastructure.
Wow, okay, let that sink in. A planetary computer secured by physics. What are the benefits of building things on that?
Huge benefits, according to Lowery. First, it's inherently zero trust and permissionless. No single company or government controls it. Anyone, anywhere, can participate just by contributing electricity, by contributing hash power.
So it's egalitarian in the way physical power originally was, based on effort, not rank.
Precisely. Second, much higher security. Because actions cost real energy, you get physically expensive bits. Information that's hard to fake, hard to tamper with. It brings real-world scarcity and decentralization into the digital realm.
Which allows engineers to build systems that are fundamentally more secure than just relying on code.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And third, this is maybe the most counterintuitive part. It leads to mutually assured preservation.
Not destruction, preservation.
Yeah. Think about it. In normal warfare, competitors try to destroy each other. But in this electro-cyber domain, if nations or companies compete by adding more hash power to secure their interests on the network.
We're actually making the whole network stronger for everyone.
Exactly. Their competition inadvertently benefits all users, including their rivals, by making the shared infrastructure more secure. It flips the whole zero-sum game of conflict on its head.
And the byproduct could even be like better energy grids and cheaper power driven by this competition, like a Moore's law for energy.
That's part of the potential long-term vision, yeah. More efficient energy use, more robust grids, driven by the need for cheap, reliable power for hashing. It's a profound shift in incentives.
Okay, so it's a secure base layer. How does he see it interacting with the current insecure internet?
He uses the term strangler pattern. Bitcoin acts like a foundational layer that can slowly strangle or replace the insecure parts of the old internet.
Strangling the old system. How?
Imagine it starting with finance, securing valuable financial bits, but then potentially expanding, wrapping around other critical digital functions, maybe protecting free speech, maybe securing digital property rights, functions the state traditionally handled but struggles with online. It gradually makes the old insecure ways obsolete.
So this brings us back to the main thesis claim. Bitcoin isn't just money.
Not primarily, no. Lowery argues it's fundamentally an electro-cyber freedom-fighting technology, a bit power protocol.
Bit power, I like that.
And the money aspect, the payments, maybe that was just the Trojan horse.
The innocuous disguise that let this powerful security system grow under the radar.
That's the suggestion. While everyone was focused on price and payments, this global, physically secured infrastructure was being built out. If you want to explore this idea of bit power more, or just understand Bitcoin better, resources like bitcoinbytes.org are a good starting point. That's bitcoinbytes.org.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together. We went from basic survival instincts
The BCRA, innovate or die.
to the difference between physical watts and abstract rank.
The fragility of systems based only on belief, the enforcement problem,
Then the kinetic ceiling with nuclear weapons creating that God King's paradise.
leading to cyberspace replicating old problems with admin God rights.
And finally, Bitcoin and proof of work emerging as software, a way to impose physical costs, create a planetary computer, and offer physically backed security in the digital realm.
It's a huge conceptual arc, and it suggests maybe there's a different kind of global conflict already happening.
An electro-cyber world war, as Lowery puts it, fought with watts and hash rate, not bombs and bullets, reshaping power while most people are looking elsewhere.
It's a powerful idea, and it leaves us with a really profound question to think about.
Which is,
What does it truly mean for society, for you, when physical security, something that used to belong only to armies and states, can now potentially be achieved by anyone, anywhere, just by plugging into the network and contributing electric power?
how does that change? Well, everything. Freedom, government, national security itself.
Yeah. How does it redefine power in the decades ahead?
A massive question. Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive.